In order to increase student ownership and maximize engagement through sharing the objectives or the learning goals with your students, it's important that you use student-friendly language. And this might differ if you're teaching second grade or you're teaching 11th grade. But either way, you still need to understand that the standard itself might have language that your students can't really interact with. So it's important to look through the standard and think about how you might break it up and what wording you might use to make it accessible. So, the first question you want to ask yourself when creating an objective or a learning goal for the day is, how is this objective related to a grade level standard? So, it's really important to make sure that your objective is really directly linked to the grade level standard. It isn't asking students to do work that's below where they are at grade level or above grade level. Your objective is at grade level. Now, as we said in our differentiation PD, which hopefully you checked out, you can do things like chunking information. You can do things like scaffolding for your students, because not every student is going to be at grade level all the time. But your learning goal, your objective needs to be at grade level and linked to that standard. The second thing to consider is there could be more than one part of the standard that a student has to master. A lot of standards have multiple parts. So it might be that your objective is a piece of that standard and you're going to build on it during the course of the week or the unit. So for example, the 7th grade reading standard, Standard 1, says cite several pieces of textual evidence to support analysis of what the text says explicitly, as well as inferences drawn from the text. So you're doing two things here. You're citing evidence to support an analysis of what the text says explicitly, and you're also citing evidence to support inferences that you've drawn from the text. So there's kind of two sections a student has to master to do this. And I probably wouldn't want to introduce that full standard right away with students. Now, I might put it up in its entirety after they've done these pieces to show them that they've mastered an entire standard, but I might break it up as I start to introduce it. The next thing to consider is the academic words a student must understand in order to take ownership of her own mastery. So you want to make sure that if you're trying to increase student engagement and student ownership, that you are using language students can interact with. So for example, this is a 4th grade math standard. It is not even the full standard, but if you just take a look at it, it starts out, solve multi-step word problems posed with whole numbers and having whole number answers using the 4 operations, including problems in which remainders must be interpreted. Now, there's a lot there for a 4th grader to grapple with. So we want to be looking at that standard and thinking about how can we word our objectives and our learning goals in a way that is accessible for our students so they can feel successful, but so they can also be reaching mastery of grade level Common Core standards.